Good evening, everybody. I just had to take some time out. I wanted to just give a testimony or a praise report, but also in the midst of God has been speaking to me and just told me to give others a word in regards to what He has been guiding me through in the past couple of months. So I have actually got approved and closing on the house. Praise God. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm actually trying not to jump and yell and scream. I've been doing that pretty much all day. But in the midst of that, actually getting approved and everything like that, it God has really been showing me some things, and so I wanted to just share that briefly. So I'll tell you a little backstory about everything that I've went through. So I had initially probably about uh, now November 2015. I basically a wrote something down and said, okay, I want to buy a house, within the next 2 years or so. For about 2.5 years, I'll be ready to buy a house. So I need to start getting things together, getting credit and all of that. So I moved out of my apartment. At the time, lease was up, whatever. And instead of going to get a place, I just went ahead and, um, I'm sorry, something just happened funny with my phone. So yeah, instead of just going to get a place, I went ahead and said I'm just going to, um, stay with family and friends. Shout out to all my sisters because I stayed with them for like forever. Um, but that I was just going to take care of a lot of things. In the midst of that, uh, that's what I proceeded to do. Now, I said I would be ready. Um, and really get serious. Give me about 2.5 years, God, maybe three, or 2.5 years, pay off everything. Then afterwards, I'll start looking at the house because that's when I'll be ready. And about May of last year, um, my mom had really been pushing me. She's like, you've been saying you've been paying stuff off now for a while. Well, why don't you go and go for a house? And I said, no, I don't think I'm ready. I don't think I'm ready. And I need some more time because according to the plan that I had written down, I was not going to be ready to actually purchase a home until that roughly about 2 year, 2.5 year mark. Okay. So after a lot of probing and everything, I said, well, Lord, um, I'm going to go ahead and try. And, the best thing that could happen out of it is that, hey, I go and try. They tell me no, and then I can find out exactly what I need to do to make sure I'm on the right track. That was my thought going into it. And by end of June, like 1st of July, they were like, yeah, so you have been pre approved. Now, that was a total shock to me, okay? Because I didn't think that I was ready. I didn't think that I was set up enough because, according to the plan that I had written down, I wasn't ready to purchase a house yet, okay? So, anyhow, get pre approved. I'm super excited. Now I'm going to look for a house because something that I didn't think I would be approved for. Now I am. Great. Going to go. Anyway, long story short, I keep finding houses, but things are not happening. Things are not going the way I planned. I'm saying, well, let me look at this area, this area, this area. And, I'm finding great houses, I'm finding things, but it just keeps having a lot of hiccups, a lot of hiccups. And I end up putting in contracts for 6 houses before I actually have the contract under the home that I'm in now. So on contract 7. Okay. And that has just happened this month. Now, of course, initially, once I got into this, I'm like, I want to get a house before the end of the year so that way I can get that tax break and all of that, right? And that doesn't happen. Okay. So now here it is, literally approved um, today. Now, if anybody who has went through the process and you get the approval back from the underwriter, it's go. They've done all the probing and looking and everything that they're going to do. And now you're clear. They call it declare to close. You are clear. And so that's where I am now. I wanted to share this because I wanted to let people know, and the Lord had really put it on my heart, that, we talk about writing down the vision and making it plain. And that actually comes from Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 2. And I want to read that. And it says, Then the Lord answered me and said, Write the vision and make it plain on tablets, that he may run who reads it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it will speak, and it will not lie. Though it tarries, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. And that's verses 2 and 3. And the reason why that the Lord, I felt, had shared this with me in order to tell other people is that I had written down a vision. I had written down the things that I had wanted to do. I had written down on how I was going to do those things. I had gotten my credit report. I had started to pay off things and was being diligent in those things and doing that. Absolutely. And I believed that God was going to allow me to purchase a home. What I was not anticipating, what I was not expecting, what I was not allowing for God to do is in the midst of the plan, allow him to deviate off of my schedule. See, I had put together saying 2.5, 3 years, I'll be ready in order to purchase a home. And so I did everything based on that. But what I was not anticipating is that no. God didn't say 2.5 years. What God said is, I'm going to do this thing in 9 months. And so while I was sitting back and I'm saying, well, God, I'm not ready. I'm not quite qualified. Listen, y'all, it's not like I have 800 or 750 credit score, 800 credit score. Okay. I came into this thing with a 504. I'm going to say that again. I came into the buying process with a 504 credit score. Okay. And now I have qualified. I am in the mid 600s right now. And I've qualified and I've been approved. Now, anything and everything that is going on throughout the process, God has done. Because according to that same number, people will tell you that shouldn't be happening. Your credit score shouldn't go up 130 points in a couple of months. That's not supposed to be able to happen. It's not supposed to be able to happen with the conditions that you have as far as with everything that's going on. It shouldn't happen. But it was God that did it. And so as soon as I got out of my own way, because I was the one who kept saying I wasn't qualified. I was the one who kept saying, well, I'm not ready yet. I'm going to be diligent, but I'm going to need some more time in order to do this. I was the one that's saying that. And God was saying, no, I'm saying now. And you're saying, 2 years from now. And so I wanted to just reach out and talk and tell people that writing the vision and making it plain is important, because the Bible says that people perish because of a lack of vision. So it's absolutely important to write down the vision. But what you can't get consumed with and caught up with is the fact of the timeline, how it's going to happen, from A to Z. And oftentimes God doesn't give us A to Z. He gives us A and B, tells us to be obedient in A and B, and that he may skip you to Y. Because that's what he did for me. And everything throughout the process of this home buying has been nothing but God. See, it took those other 6 contracts not to go through in order for me to find the house that God had ordained for me to have. I asked him to lead me and guide me and have you throughout the process of buying. And I would think I would have something and know it will come through. And then finally, because, after the first time, people always tell you when you're going through the buying process, don't fall in love with the house. Don't fall in love with the house, because it's like a bad breakup. If it doesn't go through, and it really does feel like that. I know for me, it felt like that. Okay. It felt like my heart was just broken because I fell in love with this house. I thought it was the house. It was perfect for me. There was no reason why it shouldn't be mine. And I prayed. And that wasn't it. And for a while, I wanted to step away and say, you know what? Well, I guess this wasn't supposed to work then. I guess this wasn't supposed to happen as far as buying a house at all. Maybe it's not time. Maybe I jumped into it too quick. And I prayed. And I had people around me who were praying, and I had people around me who were like, no, what did God tell you? If He put you into this process, if He put you into this and said, I want you to go seek a house now, not 2.5 years from now, but now, I want you to do this now, then that's what you do. And you're saying, oh, but I'm not ready. I'm not qualified. I don't this. God knows all of that. But see, He qualified you. That's why I could walk in and get a mortgage and purchase a home under the conditions that I'm under and be qualified because God qualified me. I didn't qualify myself. The lender didn't qualify me or anybody else in the process. And even having closing money and all of this other stuff that came together, God did. Okay? He did. And when I tell you He did it, He did it. All right. Just a little other testimony about this. Just last week, the lender came to me and said, hey, basically, you have all these other things that you have to have in reserves and you need this extra money. And basically, it's going to be like $2,000. And told her right then on the phone, well, I don't have $2,000. I don't know how I'm going to get that. And she says, well, what are you going to do? I said, I'm not going to do anything. God's going to do it. And that's exactly what I told her on the phone. And, she was quiet for a while and she was like, okay, tell you what, I'm going to submit your paperwork without that part. And then you can just work that part out for the next couple of days. I said, God's going to have to work out something because I know that He didn't take me this far in order to leave me and get me up to this point and not get to the finish line. So He's going to have to work it out. Okay. And I walked away from that. I'm currently in school now, and I'm kind of at the last leg of school. Okay, and I've been doing the program that I'm in. Normally supposed to take 2 years. It's taken me 3.5. Okay, with all of the setbacks and everything that I've gone through over the years and all of that. It's been a difficult journey, and everybody knows about refund checks and all that other kind of stuff. And I knew I wasn't getting one. I just knew I wasn't getting one. I have to finish these classes. That's it. Okay. Now, I had the conversation with the lender on Thursday. On Friday, the Lord told me that you need to check your account. I'm sorry, on Thursday, the Lord told me after getting off the phone with the lender, you need to check your school account. And I'm thinking, why? Ain't nothing in there. Matter of fact, I'm probably going to owe the people. And I went and checked in there, and the amount that she was asking for, as far as 2,000 plus, not only had I had the 2,000 plus, but I also had a little bit over. Now, when I tell you this is not like, oh, I was expecting anything. No, I knew from last semester I wasn't getting any kind of extra money from school. It was already a given. You're just going to have just enough for your classes so you can finish and then be done. Okay. So it wasn't like I was expecting in any kind of way. And I knew at that moment that it was God because I had set up a payment arrangement, as a matter of fact, for the balance on Thursday. So, of course, I'm not expecting anything because I just paid you all money. Okay. And that's how God works. That is how He works. When He puts you in a situation, when He puts something in you, when He tells you to do, He is the one who provides for the vision. See, He gives you the vision. He tells you that I want you to just trust me. I want you to rest in me. Don't worry about how it's going to work out, or don't even worry about the amount of time. Because if you worry about the time, even when it says here in verse 3, where it says the vision is yet for an appointed time, it's an appointed time that God has things. And we as humans will oftentimes have something that we set down and say, oh, well, we think it should happen in this time and then it doesn't, and we feel like God has disappointed us. No, He hasn't. He has an appointed time. And if you stop worrying about the appointed time and just worry about being in obedience to what He says and move forward in that and trust in Him, after a certain amount of times, I mean, I've had six other housing contracts that fell through before this one did. And it finally got to a point throughout the process where I just said, it does not matter. I know you're going to get me a house. I've already prayed and asked you, God, what it is that I'm choosing, but let your will be done, because I want your will greater than I want mine. So whatever that is, you'll lead, you'll direct me, you will guide me on how that is to happen. And that's exactly what He did to the house that not only fits my needs right now, but allows for me to move forward in certain things. And so I know it's nothing but God. So I'm telling you, I'm saying to you, write your visions. Write your visions down, make them plain, because not only do they give motivation to you and they give you the goal that's set in mind, but it also will weed people out. Because once they start seeing the visions and plans that you have, if they are not part of that vision and plan, then they'll just slowly slide themselves out. But if they are supposed to be in that plan, if there's something that connects in you with them, and they're like, oh my gosh, I wanted to do something like that also, or I had this idea that would go great with that, that means that is you connecting, and that's a reason for that. But it's an appointed time. It may be that God holds you back longer than what you think, or it may be that God accelerates you sooner than you think. Whatever that is, it's in God's time, and trust Him in that. Reside in that, abide in that. It says, though it tarries, wait for it. Wait for it, because it will surely come. Because when God gives you something and you're obedient in that and you're doing those things, it will surely come. You can bet on that. There's nothing that God will say that He won't manifest, because He is not a God that He should lie. So I just wanted to give people encouragement about that. Write the vision, make it plain, but don't get caught up in the timeline, because your timeline is not God's timeline. He has an appointed time for you. He has an appointed time for the things that He has shown you, whether if it's a business, whether if it's leaving your job, whether if it's children, getting married. There's an appointed time for that. Trust Him on the timeline. And when He tells you to go, whether you believe you're ready or not, whether you believe that you're qualified or not, don't worry about that, because He will qualify you. He will give you everything that you need in order to get to that place. And it doesn't matter what other people think. It got to a point today, my lender called me and told me, she said, you must have a guardian angel or something that is watching over you, because in all the years that I've done what I've done, I've done this work, I have never seen a package like yours get approved. And I said, you're absolutely right. It is nothing but God. So I just wanted to leave you all with that. Peace be to you. Blessings be to you. I just hope that this blessed somebody, that they allowed to be able to get clearer vision about something that God may have shown you a vision in. Write it down, make it plain, but wait, there's an appointed time. Be blessed, everybody. I love you.